Yes. All right, welcome everybody to the, is this considered a work session for the planning commission? And we are here looking over our, I guess these are considered bids for the comprehensive plan. And, we'll let Amanda fill us all in, and we've got lots of things to look at and consider.
So first I want to start with, really what is the comprehensive plan, what our state requirements are to meet the KRS statute. So, our last comprehensive plan, was adopted in October of 2020 as required by KRS statute. We are supposed to review these every 5 years. That review can be very comprehensive. Thank you. Sorry. That review can be very comprehensive in that we can do a complete update to the plan. It can be as simple as you review the goals and objectives and readopt them. But because we tend to want to do good planning here, we have elected to pay a consultant to do our comprehensive plans for us. What we pay them for is to pull all the information together, prepare the plan itself, and to help organize community input and certain community events. I will say the biggest thing with a comprehensive plan is community input. While we are all on this group for a reason, because we want to see Berea grow in a good and healthy way, we also want to make sure that our citizens of all different groups have input on this plan. In these plans, we look at things like land use, transportation, community facilities, housing, historical and cultural resources, economic development, and environment. And then we look at implementation strategies. What's our short-term goals, mid-term goals, long-term goals for how we implement this plan? Some of the plans that you'll see call them 2040 plans, so they're looking 15 years in advance. Some of them 2045, so they're looking 20 years in advance. Really, that's going to be focused on how we want to lay that out. What will happen through this process is we will have a steering committee, a comprehensive plan steering committee. That's usually made up of 8 to 10 citizen members, with one or two people that also serve on the planning commission. So we grab somebody from planning commission, 1 or 2, then we get community partners in this. So usually someone representing school systems, representing, your larger kind of groups. Those people are appointed by the mayor, and again, the consultant that we hire is charged with facilitating that group and with gathering this public input. In the RFP that we put out, I stated that I would like to focus this particular plan on a couple different elements. So due to the housing gap analysis that was given by Kentucky Housing Corporation, now we know what that looks like. We know the numbers that they're projecting for Madison County. How do we incorporate that into our comprehensive plan? So that's going to be a key element that we're going to focus on. Because of that housing element, now we need to look at land use. Where are we putting these houses and these different types of housing? So land use, future land use map is going to be a very important key in this. And then I think if I would say there's a third very key element at this juncture for City of Berea, there's probably economic development, looking at how we're expanding our industrial park, and we're at a good place where we almost have plans approved for our dam project to increase our water supply, and so there's a lot of big projects going on that we need to make sure that we capture in here. And so our office will work with the consultant to make sure that they have all that information and that all that gets included, again, with the help of the steering committee and with our public engagement part. So what we did is we asked for we sent out RFPs to 8 different companies. We had 5 responses. So what I'd like to do this evening is go through each of those plans, kind of one by one. As you see highlights, things that you like, things that you don't like, let's talk about it. That's what I'd like to do first. Spend maybe about 4 or 5 minutes on each of them. Let's see what we like about them. And then we will look at them from a price comparison, a time frame comparison, and then we can either choose, if we find one that we like, I think we are at liberty, depending on the budget, we are at liberty to make that decision, not in this meeting because we actually have to vote on that. But we could certainly make a suggestion. The other option I would give is to narrow it down to 3 consultants that if we decide we want to hear from them in person, and we can invite them to come to an interview. So unless anybody has any questions, we'll just jump in looking at the plans.
Okay.
Yes, Mark?
I was a little confused there. Is it city council that ultimately, I mean, we make a recommendation to city council and they vote on the
No.
consultant?
This planning commission will make the decision
Okay.
as to who to use.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Did any of these companies do it in 2020?
Yes, Taylor Steefker Williams, which is the 3rd one that we will go through, did our last comprehensive plan. Okay, so the first one that I have is OHM. OHM is a company, they do, let me get to who we are. Currently they are located in, they have offices in a lot of different places. This particular contract would come out of Frankfurt. So they have, engineering firm, landscape architecture, construction engineering, transportation, water, architecture, plumbing, electrical, and mechanical engineering, planning, surveying, and GIS and innovative technologies. So it looks like they have, just about any of the kind of people that we use for these kinds of plans that they would have, on their staff to be able to use. In terms of what they have done, I always like to look at what they've done that's close to us. So their similar work, if you start on page 17, they did a Hudson, Ohio comprehensive plan, a Perrysburg, a Wooster, Ohio, both of those comprehensive plans, Oberlin, Ohio, Marysville, Ohio, let's see, Cleveland, Ohio, that was a Vision for the Valley plan, a Medina comprehensive plan, and then in their section 5, one thing I did want to bring to your attention is their project manager that they've listed as Robert Hewitt. Robert served in my position as Codes and Planning Administrator for Franklin County for about 15 years. So he did himself several of those comprehensive plans for Franklin County. Talked to him during this project. I think he has a very good understanding of what we're looking for in this project. In terms of how long the project would be, they're proposing a 12-month. Looks like they do have some public open houses, steering committee meetings, some strategy meetings, and their price was $65,500. So I'm gonna give you guys just a couple minutes to look through that, see if you have any questions.
So, you picked them first just because you just picked them?
It was just the order I had them laid.
You don't have, okay, you don't have.
Yeah, I don't have I will give you my recommendation after we go through all 5 of them.
Gotcha.
Amanda, just because I wasn't here in 2020, about how long did that process take?
8 months.
8 months, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then you wanna talk what's realistic on our end for this, kicking off, by the time we get the steering committee and so forth in April is like we.
Yeah, it'd be likely April before we could get started. So what will happen is once we select a firm, we'll have some time where we have to sign contracts with them. We will have to get them a lot of information from our office. So a lot of our GIS data, a lot of our mapping. And so that just inevitably takes a few weeks to get all those kind of things lined out. During that time, we'll, so again, the steering committee is appointed by the mayor, so that'll give him some time to appoint the steering committee, and probably realistically jumping into actually working on the plan April through end of year, right? If we could adopt it by December of this year, I'd be very happy. The part that is going to involve the planning commission the most is when we define these goals and objectives, right? So in each of these elements, we call them, each of these 8 categories, we are gonna list out what our main goals and objectives are. That has to go through approval by the planning commission and city council. And that kind of sets the framework for all the other things that go in, how we're gonna implement all of these things. So you'll see, it'll be kind of involved for a while, and then you won't hear anything for a while. And then it'll be involved for a while, and then you won't hear anything for a while, right? So that's why it's such a long process, is, as you'll see, each of these have laid them out in phases, where, you know, phase 1, we're gathering information. Phase 2, we're getting input from planning commission and the public. Phase 3, where, you know, and so you'll see that, and I thought that was consistent through all of these and how they broke down their schedule.
And that's pretty normal. I was on city council a long, long time ago, and that seemed to be a pretty common time frame of how things work. And then the summertime, you're getting all your groups together and
Yep.
getting a lot of input from a lot of folks on thoughts on things that'll work and where they want to see things go. So.
Yeah, you want your community, good point, you want your community involvement in places that's easily accessible for people, good weather, food. You know, there's some key things that drive people to come and speak up. All right, so move on to Bluegrass Ad.
It's kind of basic with a big old staple there.
Yeah, yeah. We did ask them for bound. So Bluegrass Ad, probably many of you are familiar with. You've certainly heard me talk about them. I'm involved in some of their subcommittees. It's the Bluegrass Area Development District. They do all kinds of plans and planning for folks and for communities. They do GIS work. They do things for aging population. They gather a lot of information for housing and safety programs, and really very involved in a lot of community planning. I serve on both their transportation committee and their planning council, and one thing I did notice though with the, so as in their plan, they've given us who would be a part of this. So they have their executive director shown. They have Lyndon Smith, who is their senior regional land use planner. So he would be primarily responsible for writing and updating this plan. He's been there, for 1 year, it looks like. And, they have GIS services, as I said. We'll look onto their recent experience. It looks like they did a 2017 and 2024 comprehensive plan for Anderson County. And then it looks like before that, Their last plan was in 17, if I'm reading that right. Maybe I'm missing a page here. Yeah, so they did a comprehensive plan for Lincoln County in 16, a comprehensive plan for City of Berea in 15. Miss Betty will remember that one. That one was a doozy. So those are, I say that only because, that one was, I think, the longest comprehensive plan in city history. I believe that one took 2 years to adopt. Yeah. It was their 15 plan. Yeah.
Is, is that why we went in a different direction in 2020?
Probably a lot of factors of time, price.
Okay.
Capability, you know, there's a lot of different factors that go into it. Looks like they did a regional hazard mitigation plan in 22. Regional hazard mitigation plan. I think that's pretty common for them to do a lot of hazard mitigation plans. I've seen, it seems like I've seen that pretty consistently in their work that they've done. Broadband study, an economic development strategy study. Their current workload, this is important to know that they're currently working on both Lincoln County and City of Lancaster's comprehensive plans. Look like those are wrapping up when we're about to start. In terms of cost, it looks like their proposal is $72,000. And they've shown us some deliverables, so 20 copies, we put that in there as terms of what they needed to price out for deliverables to us. So that should be consistent in all of these plans. Yeah, go to the very last page, gives you a schedule, and it kind of breaks down again these tasks, how they're going to accomplish this plan. So their base study, a lot of the research and mapping and getting all that together, statement of goals and objectives. Looks like then committee meetings, then public meetings, planning commission, city council approval. So they've kind of laid it out in what I think are pretty reasonable steps to say that they're gonna accomplish this.
Mr. Dudlinger's a Berea guy too. He's, grew up here, went to school here.
Oh, that's right, he is a local.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
always forget that, yeah.
Yeah, we were, known David for a long time. Yeah, it looked like he'd done several projects in the county and maybe even in Berea as far as building and things.
Okay, shall we move on? Taylor Seifker Williams, that's this one. So they give us, who their team is. Again, this is the company that we worked with for the 2020 plan. Same principal in charge or project manager, so they're showing Amy Williams, that's who was the person that was over our plan, the last time. They have done they are currently working on City of Richmond's comprehensive plan right now, and they are And they also did Madison County's about 2 years ago. One thing that that all three planning directors have talked about, in fact, we have a meeting later this week to talk about things, because all of our comp plans will be within 2 years of each other. We want to make sure that there is some overlap in our comp plans. And so we're meeting to identify those areas that we want to make sure that we get the same information. And so I think that's going to be an important thing that's going to be a little bit different this time. Is, again, we don't want to copy Richmond's. We're not Richmond. But there are some commonalities that we want to make sure that we incorporate. So for Taylor Siefker Williams, on page 13, they talk about, they have a similar project list. Of course, they name ours. They did a Henderson Vision and Comprehensive Plan, Ashland's Comprehensive Plan, Nelson County, Huntington, Indiana, a neighborhood plan, Hopkins County Comprehensive Plan, Hopkins County, Somerset Comprehensive Plan, Charleston, Indiana, Winchester and Clark County Comprehensive Plan, Simpsonville, a Harrison County Town Planning Initiative, Sellersburg, Indiana, Madison County Comprehensive Plan. So it looks like they're focusing on Kentucky, southern Indiana. Their office is out of Louisville, and you'll see that this, on all of their logos, they also include Bell Engineering. One important thing about them, and I'll say, you asked a minute ago why we chose, one of the reasons that we chose them. Bell Engineering was then and is still now a partner of Berea Municipal Utilities. They are the engineering firm that works with our utility. They've worked on the dam projects. They're working on sewer design projects. And so they know a lot of our infrastructure. I've been a partner of Berea Utilities for several years.
Where they did 2020s, was that a positive experience?
It was.
Oh, well, okay.
It was. I thought it was great. In terms of the amount of work that they did in a short amount of time, I felt like it was a really good experience with them. And I think that's kind of been seen through Madison County choosing them, City of Richmond choosing them. Having a lot of that area knowledge is very valuable. So they go through a lot of their featured projects here, pretty in a lot of detail. You'll see that they did give, on page 22, our Utilities Director General Manager as one of their references. Also, City Manager for City of Richmond, and City of Georgetown. There's one City of Berea reference on here I'm not familiar with.
It's got the wrong phone number too.
I would have to figure out who that is. This is Jeffrey Edwards. Yep. In terms of schedule, they're proposing a 9 to 10 month schedule and then a price of $35,300. And I think that probably plays into that,
I
is
figured
that
that
they
too,
have
yeah.
a lot of our information already. Yep.
So when the, kind of touching on the Richmond aspect of things and how we're really close together, a lot closer than we ever have been. And so, yeah, we definitely want to make sure that we, our codes and their codes and a lot of things kind of match up and seem the same.
Yeah, and the experience for the developer to be able to follow a similar, not the exact same process, but a similar process when they apply for development here. Things that we can do to enhance or expedite those processes, I think is important. You know, we've identified the easy ones, right? Like trails. We wanna make sure that our future trails map, when we're looking at any future connectors to Madison County or City of Richmond, they line up. That we don't show them coming off of Duncannon and the other one off 25, or, you know.
Right.
So we know that's one area, but that's what the goal is of us planning directors, sitting down and just trying to really brainstorm what areas do we need to make sure that there is some overlap. So like I say, we're gonna try to make that happen here pretty quickly.
Yeah, and then this is probably a little off the wall, but you know, I just see transportation and, you know, 25 between Maria and Richmond and everything. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I think we're already behind the 8 ball a little bit. I mean, it is just imperative for the next 5 years that us and them work together and call the same people and say, this has got to be better. This has got to be worked on. This needs to be, you know, but it's just, they're just, that way the transportation back and forth between the two communities is more seamless and better and works better and all those kinds of things. And I know that may be too broad of a statement for just a general, you know, comprehensive plan meeting, but I just think it's just a big deal.
No, I'll definitely bring that up on Thursday.
If anything happens to Duncan, say, there's no maps out.
Yeah, and all those things just need to be addressed, and I mean, it, you know, it just needs to be a bigger, better road, so that when something does happen, there's a way for things to still continue to move and go, and that does not exist, and it's, you know, even if you started today, it's not gonna exist for several years, and we need to get started on it today.
Believe it or not, years ago, I took some college classes. I was studying construction technology. And the guy that was teaching the class there, he said, this is back in 1999. That our road structures was 30, 40 years behind.
Yeah, I believe it.
And I-75, the only reason I'm getting that I-75 was driving, replaced a bridge.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're fine.
What happened in Rockcastle County, when they were building theirs, they started saying, well, we got the bridge, this bridge is falling apart.
Yeah,
We're seeing rebars.
yeah, so
But it's a lot going on.
we need to,
I think that railroad bridge we were crossing, going toward Richmond, stuff like that was probably put there at a certain point.
so, yeah, and you know, and so it's, you've got the main artery that we all run, but I mean, there needs to be 2 more options than that should be viable and working and in good shape and move things along quickly.
And we certainly continue to put cars on the road.
Absolutely, and
There's springs that Richmond's got going on right now.
yeah, I mean,
was a really good job, and I saw it through, I just can't believe
Growth.
how much dirt's getting moved.
yeah, yeah. So from, and you're right, you know, from Duncannon to Twin Lakes and there's just more and more, and we're seeing it too. You know, we're gonna be a part of it as well. And
We're
it's-
feeling the effects of it.
It's just gotta be looked at.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're part of Madison County and Berea, part of this new economic development consortium. And I think housing overlaps a lot.
Yeah.
Between all 3 entities. So I think, I'm glad you said you were meeting with the other folks.
It was Richmond that initiated that conversation. We had talked a year or so ago about doing a comprehensive plan, like a county-wide comprehensive plan. But to be quite honest with you, it's hard enough for each planning jurisdiction to do the things that they're required by law to do, much less to spend money on things that they don't have to do. And so that's why we kind of just came together and said, okay, that's probably not realistic. But what is realistic is let's make sure that these key things have some overlap. So I really appreciated that,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, I'd
Alright.
love for the three planning commissions to just at least introduce each other, get to know each other, you know, at least in an informal way.
Mm-hmm. Do what? Right, yeah. It is, yeah, yeah. All right, we'll move on to EHI. EHI is out of Lexington. Looks like they have, in their firm capability they have planners, looks like they do, GIS, urban design, neighborhood planning, bicycle and pedestrian planning, socioeconomic, comprehensive planning, so all different types. They do roadway and transportation engineering, roadway design, looks like some civil engineering, green infrastructure, remedial measures, environmental impacts, housing market studies, affordable housing, housing infill. So it sounds like they talk our language, right? In terms of project approach, it says that they will review our comprehensive plan, get familiar with it. They pull out Berea College as a cornerstone of the community, that they should play a pivotal role in our comprehensive plan update. We agree with that. We like to have a Berea College member on our committee, on our steering committee. Community profile, so engage and envision. One thing I always like to ask these folks is how will they get that community engagement? Because again, that's a really important piece that's hard to get. So I think it's interesting in how they go about getting this information. It looks like for them, they are planning a kickoff event for some community input that coincides with a community activity, a festival, a sporting event, something where we can get a little more engagement. It says they will also host and focus on workshops, and then web-based and social media. So most of these will do some type of survey that we can put out. And I think there's some interesting conversations about how, I thought we had maybe 350 survey questionnaires filled out last time, and I was really disappointed by that number given our population. One of these guys that I was talking to, it's actually the next one we'll talk about, he said that 350 probably is a good number, that once you get over a certain amount, that you can continue to just get the same answers, right? And so I was really interested when, that actually made me hopeful that he said that 350 people out of what our population is was actually a good number to hear from. I think we need to make it a goal to try to get as much community input as we can. But they talk about how they're gonna go about each of the plan elements here. Looks like they have a fee of $42,000, and it looks like they have a shorter window, about 8-month timeline. If you start in March and finish in October, so 8 months. And then they go through who their planners and who their staff is. It looks like they did the Franklin Ford 2040 comprehensive plan, Magoffin County, Elizabethtown comp plan, Cynthiana, Bourbon County comprehensive plan, Red River Neighborhood in Clarksville, Tennessee. Lexington Fayette Urban County Government Affordable Housing Study. Boone County's Transportation Plan. Another plan for Lexington was the Small Area Plan and a Louisville Metro Comp Neighborhood Plan. And I think this is one, Martin, that you gave us the name of.
It's a good number.
And then, if you guys are ready, last we'll go through the Walker Collaborative. So they have a big team. They have, it looks like, they work with other consultants, including, so there's the Walker Collaborative, there's Prime AE, Common Ground Urban Design and Planning, and Randall Growth Development Economics. Oh, Randall Growth for Development Economics. They have done a lot of plans in, so if you go to page 3 of 17, around the southeast. So Anniston, Alabama's comprehensive plan, Tullahoma, Tennessee, Hernando, Mississippi, Pikeville, Kentucky, Lebanon, Tennessee, there's some Arkansas, Tennessee, Starkville, Mississippi, Oxford, Mississippi, Sumner County, Tennessee, Pittsburgh, Clemens, North Carolina, Wilson, North Carolina, Lookout Mountain, Georgia, Forest Hills, Tennessee, High Point, North Carolina, Isle of Wight County, Virginia, and Midway, Georgia. So a lot of the southeast, it looks like they've covered here. It goes through who their team is. They do call out a Berea traffic study on page 5. A Berea traffic study for Madison County, and it says that they had participated in the following project that is relevant for this. They call out Pikeville, Cedar Creek, a plan for Beattyville Connect project, two-way West Main Street conversion project in Frankfurt. Some grants for Frankfurt, it looks like. So certainly have a lot of projects they've worked on. They did a Harlan County Economic Development Strategy. Looks like they have another plan for Pikeville Medical Industries Cluster Strategy. They did a market analysis and strategy for Middlesboro, Kentucky, Hopkinsville, Kentucky. Certainly looks like they've worked in this area. Their project, trying to find a timeline here. Oh, one thing I did see in here that I liked, let me find that. So they don't just have a open house and surveys, but they do, here it is on page 13. I think he called it a charrette, but
Charrette.
it's a charrette. That's right, a charrette and concept plan. So a charrette is an intensive process in which numerous people work together in a limited period of time to develop creative ideas for solving problems. So he talked about that when he came to meet with me. more of a hands-on public involvement, in some breakout groups and those kind of things. So they also, looks like they do, a couple days of workshops. Let's see, they are showing a 8-month time frame, and their total project cost is $127,265. You're right. So we can take these, look at them. Again, we can't vote on it, on anything tonight. But I think our options would be, take these, look at them, reconvene in 2 weeks, and see how we wanna proceed from there. Or, I think that we narrow it down to 3 people that we would like to actually talk to. Have a few questions to ask them and try to have them here in 2 weeks to have a little, 15-minute interview with each one if we would like to. We did that the last time, yes. Again, my recommendation would probably be to maybe narrow it down from 5 to 3 if we actually bring them in. Or we can, any other recommendations that people have, I can certainly work, I wanna proceed next on whatever our comfort level is. Do we want to hear from people? Do we want to make a decision just based on what they've given us in their RFPs?
So I'm suggesting that we narrow it down to 3 and then have them come in and talk with us.
Okay. I see some head shakes at least. Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah, I, for me specifically, is I like to talk to them more about the public input side of stuff, right?
I agree.
I mean, just kind of, this plan is only gonna be as good as we get public input on. Maybe we can head some stuff off. If we do good educating the public anyway, how many times have we had folks come in here and, if they'd only knew or familiar with the comprehensive plan, then they would understand, right?
Right.
So,
And maybe when they come in, that can kind of be their purpose of visit, is how would they achieve the community engagement that we need.
yeah.
So what I will do is, I will likely give them 3 or 4 questions, and all the same, and have them be prepared to talk about that before. So I think public involvement is an important thing. I think how much staff involvement is another important thing, right? We've got 6 people in our office, and it's the busy time of year, so that, that's important to me and my staff. And I'll also look back and see what kind of questions. I know I kept that from the last time. I'll pull out some topics that I think everyone might want to know, and then we'll have some time for Q&A. Okay. I will tell you, if we're able to do this in 2 weeks, that probably will be a little longer meeting if we're bringing 3 companies in, and then we definitely have a business session for that night. So just giving you a heads up now.
What's the UK schedule?
Yeah, I don't know about that one. I didn't look that far in advance. Hopefully it's a 9 o'clock meeting, or 9 o'clock game. Okay, so in terms of narrowing it down to 3, I would recommend Taylor Seifer Williams be one of the 3 because they are involved in Madison counties and because they did our last one. So unless someone objects, I think they should be one of our 3. I would also tell you that there are two that are a little higher in price point. That would be the Walker Collaborative and Bluegrass Ad. And those two were a little more out of our price range. And so, am I safe to say that we should look at this point, the three lowest price points, and let's bring those in and let's talk to them? We do have the opportunity with our contractual requirements here, because we put it out for bid, we do not have to take the lowest bid for these specialized services. So that is one good thing that we have going for us, but we certainly do have to consider price and what we're getting for that money. So unless there's objection, we will ask, OHM out of Frankfurt. We will ask Taylor Siefker Williams, and we will ask EHI to come and speak to us in 2 weeks if possible. EHI, OHM, and TSW.
And I'm not trying to disagree at all, but
Yeah.
I don't know if we really need to invite OHM, because they're gonna have to be $23,000 better than the other two.
Okay,
Yeah, they're like 60,
there were 65.
yeah, that-
So
which
should
is,
we narrow it down to 2?
Because I don't know how they would.
Well, you just wanna list them top though.
what? What did you say?
We'll list them top, see what they have to say. Not the cost of anything.
No?
No?
You always can't always go by the lowest bidder. It's what they're gonna offer. They might have something to say, at least give a chance.
No, you know, the Walker Collaborative, I'm gonna look at that closer, even though it's just out of hand, but, you know, the charrette idea,
Is a good idea.
it's like, I don't know how many days, I didn't look at that close, but it's pretty involved, and the charrette process is pretty involved. And that right there is probably $10,000-15,000,
Sure.
right? And I'm not proposing, but I would like to see, I would like to see something along that kind of effort from one of these others, as far as community engagement process. Charrette. It was like, every damn day in architecture school was a charrette.
Okay, do I have some head shakes on that at least, or?
I'm fine with OHM too.
Everybody wants to narrow it down to 2. Okay. All
I
right.
just think part of the reason we may not have community input is if we drag things out and give more information than we really care about. I just don't know how OHM would justify being more expensive and how we would justify spending that much more money. And I just don't want to waste our time, the people sitting here's time, the business session's time, for somebody that we probably aren't going to pick. But that's just my thoughts.
Right.
I will happily sit here and listen to them and give them my attention.
Right, no, I
I just think it's,
understand, and I
I just
appreciate
don't
that.
think it's a great use of time.
Okay,
Okay,
we got our 3.
we know what we're doing.
I'm gonna make an assumption here, is that we can come back to the finalist, right? And say, we like this, right? We would also like to see just a little more robust community engagement process. So could you revise that? It's gonna cost more. And in the case of EHI and Taylor and TSW, there probably is some room for them to do that. Is that permissible process?
I'll have to ask.
Okay.
I mean, I think,
You're not saying,
Change order.
you're just, yeah, exactly.
yeah, it's, yeah,
Can you do this, for
Yeah.
Uganda? That's what I liked about the one, they might be expensive, but I think I can get more down in depth. Cause I think the last time we went through this and stuff like that, you got the point, the people.
The last,
People our age.
I don't know, can't remember who did Berea's strategic plan, and it was 5 years ago. And they had like a workshop or something that was at the school. I went to that. A lot of people put some time in it. And then there was nothing, right, till the very end, and they presented it, right? And I looked at what they presented, and I'm like, did you all even consider what was done at that other thing? Because it sure didn't look like it, right? From my point of view, is like, if there was some other intermediate community engagement between that initial one and here's the final one, would be helpful.
I'll let you know, Mike. I'll keep you up.
We're gonna make sure there's food. It always brings people.
But I think everybody, yeah, I think all these people would be open to an understanding of how we feel like the community could be involved. Because I understand what you're saying, that preliminary plan, got some thoughts and ideas, you put all that down on paper. And then in the end, you see the result and it's like, well, maybe we should have checked in somewhere in the middle in there and seen how that was going.
Yeah.
So, God.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Amanda, of these, is Taylor the one that you would be most inclined towards right now?
Well, I'm saying that only because I've worked with them, right? And so that's the easy answer. I think that there's a lot of, sure, I think if I look at them, but I'm probably a little biased because I had a really good experience with them. And because of just that regional knowledge that they have
Yeah.
by working on the other plans.
The
So
Bell Engineering, and there's
the Bell
there's
Engineering.
a couple of things there that makes a difference.
There are, yeah, so that would be the one, and because of the price point, right? That's something that we can afford, and it's something that doesn't, yeah, and that's, that, I think that,
But one of my friends is on this team, in all honesty.
There you go.
He's a landscape architect in here, so.
for TSW,
Yeah, he's with Bell.
oh, he's with Bell, okay, yeah, yeah.
Um,
And just my experience, again, with the folks from Bell are some fine folks too,
Yeah.
so.
just looking at this very, very briefly, all of them. But quite frankly, when I'm looking through this, EHI has more information about specific what they're going to do. What the project plan is,
Yeah,
how,
they're-
what is the community involvement?
Their details were very
Their
good.
details are very, very well done.
Yeah,
They are.
I agree.
And, much more so than, the other,
I agree.
even the $127,000 one.
I agree.
So, I think it's important that we look very closely.
And you know, one
Because
of-
if they can put it on paper, let's make sure that that's exactly what they think they can do, and they will do.
Yeah, they're kind of a rising star. I can't remember who recommended them to
Mm.
me, and I forwarded to Amanda, but they're kind of
Okay.
a rising star right
Yeah.
here.
And they're doing an interesting amount of work right in the backyard of where we are, with
Yeah.
these counties and Lexington.
Yes.
That kind of thing.
I agree.
And, so with the traffic and yeah, I mean, they look very, very good for sure.
Okay. Take those with you, and we will, email you and let you know, if we can get these folks to agree to come in 2 weeks and get that planned. Again, we know we're having a meeting in 2 weeks. We have a business session. Likely we'll be considering a plat. We have a letter of credit, and then these interviews. I think that's it. Yeah. That's what's on the schedule for now.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Are we
Thank you
finished?
all.
Yeah, whether we need it or not, I make a motion to
Well,
adjourn.
let's motion to adjourn.